everyone. Today's topic is about narcissistic abuse by a parent. It's a different episode, and it's quite special because my granddaughter, Liberty Keil, is going to take the lead and share something she saw on a trip that just stuck with her ever since. It's not her own experience, but now, as she looks back, knowing what she knows now about narcissistic abuse, her eyes are wide open to how subtle narcissistic abuse can be, especially in families. I'll be here listening, maybe chiming in, but this is her voice today. Liberty?
Thank you, Grandy, for handing this subject over to me. It means a lot because I know like a lot of viewers would like to hear about like a perspective of a teenager like me. And so this happened during a family vacation a little while ago, I'd say like 3 years ago. I met a girl, she was around my age. It was like around 14 years old. And we met at the resort and we were by the pool and we became friends. Like she was really nice, but she was like really quiet, like to herself. Um, Not like super shy, but more like careful, like observant in a way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But now like looking back, it makes sense, like why she kind of was like that way. And her mom was sitting with us, and the mom, she was really pretty. Like she was like, she had like her hair all done, like makeup, a lot of designer stuff on. Like you could tell like she wanted the
Mm-hmm.
spotlight, you know? But the part that really got my attention was like it was how like she spoke to her daughter. Because the first thing like I remember her saying to her daughter was like, "Are you sure that fits you right?" And I like remember like looking over and the girl like she like looked totally fine, like the swimsuit and everything, but like her face kind of like shut down. Like you could see it like went like her mood went down. Um and then the mom, she had said like, "I'm only trying to help you." And I mean, I really didn't think of it at the time because I was like, that was 3 years ago. And like, I feel like hearing it more and more. And I guess learning more about narcissistic abuse, it kind of like shows it differently. Um, but it was kind of like criticism that was like in disguise, you know? And it's like, you're like, it's like saying like, I'm hurting you, but I can get away with it because it's like, they're
Oh.
showing its love when it
Mm-hmm.
really isn't,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And so, Um, later that day, the mom had like teased her daughter for um, glancing at a boy at the pool. And the mom was like, he's totally out of, yeah, he's totally out of your league. And the girl just like seemed a little bit like more down about that. And then the mom was like, oh, I'm just joking, where she wasn't like trying to mean it, but it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't really funny because you could tell like it had really brought her down. Um, and then on a different day, like the next day, because we had kind of gone after like getting back to the pool and everything, um, the mom was like kind of like she looked upset at the daughter, like what's going on with you? But the girl like she hadn't done anything wrong, and um, it was like the mom wanted her daughter to be like kind of like show, um, be like with the problem going on. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so like she could be in control of the situation more. And so I remember like after leaving the trip and just like wondering how I'd feel like if that were like I was in those personal that
Mm-hmm.
place, and I would have felt very like small and not very like happy. I would have felt
Mm-hmm.
like belittled, you know? And so I couldn't really name it back then, but it was more of like an emotional abuse, like with control and guilt. And now like kind of like not many people would have like noticed that because it was just so quiet and it wasn't like outspoken, but it was very real, like on the
Right.
inside, you know?
Right.
And so, yeah, that was one
Well,
experience.
Liberty, thank you for sharing that. It's really something to look back on it and be able to name it. And it's so hard to talk about emotional abuse, isn't it? Because from the outside, kind of everything looks fine, doesn't it? Just like when you first saw it, you knew something was off, but you didn't identify it as abuse. Now, as you look back, you can see it. I mean, on that day, the mom probably got compliments on her beauty and maybe even compliments on her daughter, because I'm sure her daughter always had to be perfect. At least that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
But in truth, what was happening to that little girl from, from my perspective is her confidence was being chipped away. I mean, just like telling her, oh, that boy is out of your league. I mean, I just don't even know how that would impact her in the
Yeah,
future. I mean,
for sure.
I guess we kind of do know how it would impact her, and it's not good.
Yes, I agree. So I think that like if you're a teenager and you feel like something's off and just not very like happy, when someone talks to you, especially someone who you know is like close to you,
Hmm.
um, and like someone that you know you're allowed to trust, um, just because like someone says they're only trying to help doesn't mean they really are. And even if they just say it as a joke and they don't mean it, it can still hurt. And they're not trying to be like coming out that way, but it really is like sensitive. So
You're so right about that, Liberty. And I know it's hard to talk about, but I really think by talking about it today, you can be helping other people. Now, I don't think teenagers are necessarily watching this, but if their parents or grandparents like me see it, it helps them to see through the eyes of their children and grandchildren. And so I just have to tell you, your voice matters so much. And not just to other teens, but to all of us who are still learning how to see this kind of abuse clearly. Because the thing of it is, as we know, it doesn't leave bruises, right? That little girl was beautiful, I bet,
yes,
but it probably left her in a state of confusion, maybe even shame or silence. But naming it, that's how we start to heal. And to anyone listening who saw themselves in Liberty's story, whether as a daughter or someone who spoke those words and now regret it, just know this: awareness is the beginning of change. And until next time, I want to honor your truth and tell everybody in whatever situation they're in or whatever perspective they're coming at this from, that they're not alone. And I've introduced you as Liberty Keil, my granddaughter. But for those who are new here, I just want to say I'm Keil Hackley, an attorney, mother and grandmother of a beautiful 17-year-old and others. And I'm the author of Undercurrent. It's the story about Annie, the young woman who was trapped in a narcissistic marriage and managed to break free. And Annie isn't just a character. She's not just one person. Annie is anyone who has ever experienced narcissistic abuse. And as always, for those of you who are listening, I want you to know that you are stronger than you ever believed, and that you are a warrior against narcissistic abuse. And I want you to be tenacious and never give up on what's important to you. Thank you for being here. And until next episode, take care of yourself. Thank you so much.